Well, Yelena, thank you for being on Psychology Project. This is now episode 4, I think. Yeah, number 4.
Thank you for inviting me. It's really sweet to meet with you.
And let's start with what got you into the mental health world?
Well, it didn't happen like that so much as that as a teenager, I was very interested in spiritual things. You know, I'd had various difficulties growing up, and as a teenager, everything went well on the outside, but internally, I felt deep distress. And so I turned to meditation. Originally, it was an Indian mantra meditation, and then I met Vipassana.
The age of like 13, 14?
17, 18. 17, 16, 17, 18, I was starting to meditate. And then I started traveling. I was in the United States, so healing interested me. I was doing color healing, Tai Chi, by the time I was 18, 19, because I'd left home and was sort of traveling around in Boulder, Colorado, California. I was just experiencing a broad aspect of life, but I was drawn to spiritual things. So I did Shanai music, which is an Indian instrument. It goes along with sitar and sarod. And then I fell in love with Aikido and movement, but it was all kind of in the alternative world a little bit. And I was going to say I was repelled, and I thought that's not a good word to use. I wasn't drawn to the structure of university.
Yeah.
But since I was a 5-year-old child, I'd wanted to be a psychologist, and I'd wanted to ride the circus horses.
Okay.
Like the creativity and the dancing of riding circus horses. So that was deep within me, this wish to, I don't know how I knew what a psychologist was, but
even before you heard of what a psychologist was?
Yeah, long before I heard what psychologist was, I just had this memory that I wanted to be a psychologist and I wanted to ride circus horses. And I always wanted to help people. I had a very deep prayer. My father was a minister. I had a very deep prayer to God about to speak all languages. But it wasn't the same as the psychology degree. Yeah. That wasn't exactly it.
It feels like it was like a calling though.
Yes, that's it. It was a calling. And I was looking for where is the work that goes along with this calling. And it wasn't really until I met process-oriented psychotherapy.
Process-orientated psychotherapy.
Yeah, also known as process work, not to be confused with factory work. Nothing to do with...
I haven't heard of factory work.
People use the word process work sometimes to mean you're in a factory and you're processing stuff, and it's sometimes used for an entirely different job.
So in the therapy space, process work.
Process work or process-oriented psychotherapy, process-oriented psychology, brought together by Arnold Mindell, who was a physicist. He studied with a Nobel laureate in physics and learned a lot about quantum. Richard Feynman was his teacher, and he was a very fine physicist, Arnie Mindell, but he was also interested in psychology, and he was doing work in Zurich in Switzerland, and he used to go to a cafe on a Saturday morning, and Franz Ricklin, Jung's nephew, happened to go to the same cafe, and they were chatting and they would start meeting at this cafe on a Saturday morning, and Franz Ricklin would ask him about his dreams. So Arnie, who's a physicist and interested in psychology a bit, he'd done behavioral psychology, he just found it fascinating the way that Franz Ricklin, who was a Jungian psychologist, Jung had just died a short time before that, so Jung wasn't available, but Arnie fell in love with this world where your dreams show these deeper underlying patterns. So I fell in love with process work for more of the depth of the spiritual it opened up. It opened up the inside of a person in a tangible way that you could do helpful things.
How can you explain to somebody that's never heard of it before what process work is?
Well, probably the usual way I say it is sort of very basic, like from a counseling point of view. Let's imagine you're my client. And many people say when I describe process work, doesn't every counseling practice do that? And I have to say, no, they don't. Some people assume every practitioner would do it. But I'm looking at and listening to, do you make visual references? When you talk about something, do you tell me what it looked like?
Oh, yeah.
So you're informing me, if you make visual references, you're informing me, you're especially in the visual sensory grounded channel. That's where you're operating the most. We all have all the channels, but in process work we pay attention, then you're in the sensory grounded channel. But let's say you were to kind of look down, kind of withdraw from me. I would, like right now, if you lower your eyes and you go kind of quiet, you're probably feeling yourself. You're in the interoceptive, feeling yourself, your body. So then I would encourage that. I would say, that's right, go ahead, let your eyes drop and feel yourself. And what do you notice? If you were visual, I'd probably give you paper and pastels and say, show me. Because you're visual, it will help you to make more of the visual channel. Sound, if you're very aware of the sounds and the rhythms, we can make more of amplify, it's called, those sounds. I'm very movement oriented, which is not the most common in our culture. Movement is kind of marginalized in Anglo-European culture all around the world, but there is a minority of us that we are particularly movement. I'm ADHD as well, which goes along with it. Many ADHD people are very movement oriented.
You need that movement. And so would you sort of explain the process work as figuring out the channel somebody
That's the beginning.
uses?
The thing is, I work with my client where they are. Say you're the therapist and you work with me, you would naturally encourage and invite my movement because that's where I am a lot. So you'd say, well, let's get up and go ahead, Yelena, and do that movement. We work with the person where they are because all we're doing, let's say you're the client again. I hope your viewers don't get too like ping pong balls, like what's she talking about? But let's imagine I'm your therapist and you're the client. All I'm doing is opening up your experience. I'm on a journey helping you open you to your experience. So we have to work in the channel where you're most aware. And then it does change and you can open up more channels to help you experience the fullness of your own wisdom, your own inner guidance, because everybody has deeper wisdom. It's just a thing. If you're human, you have deeper wisdom within you.
And so this work would tap into those channels and tap into a lot of
That's
the
like
emotions.
The method is to go through the experiential channel the person is most awake in. And then you can open up. And where are we going? We're going to deeper, fuller experiences for the person. Because in our culture, we're really taught since preschool to marginalize so many things. You know, don't move, don't talk about it. And everybody, we have a tendency to think something and not think about it. Like if something disturbs us, avoid it.
Yeah.
Avoidance.
Yeah.
We're kind of taught it all the time. Like, you know, that's not what you're here to do. The goal, our culture is very goal oriented. The rational cognitive steps to get to, I want to anything.
And results driven and money driven success work.
Yeah.
So this work, the process work, it sounds like it's a journey. It sounds experiential.
And it opens up the opposite of like my conscious self, which is always incredibly limited. The part of us that's rationally conscious, it's a very small part of our being. I want to do X. Process work cooperates, but says, and let's include all of your parts. Let's include your unconscious. Let's find out, because the unconscious will get you anyway. You know, people say, oh, I've been trying so hard for so long to do X. Well, if a big part of your nature and your being wants to do Y, it's just only going to advantage you to include a bit of X, but let's find out what's the goals of your unconscious self are. And then let's make a method that allows you to have X and have very often the opposite. Because human beings, we're built on polarity. You know, like yin-yang symbol.
What do you mean by polarity?
So, have you heard of the Taoist concept of yin-yang, where the sun is bright and yang, the moon is soft and yin, darkness is yin, light is yang, action is yang. So the Taoists, which is woven into process work, Arnie Mindell loved Taoism, and Taoism is how to follow the natural flow of life, and Arnie applies it to human beings, how to follow the natural flow of a human being.
I imagine you see a lot of incredible insights with this type of work. And now I'm wondering, how does that work into doing all the, I guess academic work of becoming a psychologist is quite different to this sort of work.
Yeah. Our school is accredited with ASQA, with the government. We're an RTO to give a graduate diploma of trauma-informed process work psychotherapy. Now, to get that level of accreditation, we had to translate the depths of what we're really bringing. It's a deep journey of exploration into yourself, into a language that could be understood by a government bureaucratic department.
That sounds like it would be challenging.
It was extraordinarily challenging. And we met along the way.
But you did it amazingly.
We met very unethical consultants that we had to go to court to get things that they promised, and it was a big journey. But I just want to be clear about one thing. We don't train psychologists, except to the extent that we often have psychologists. When there was a 4+2 program in psychology,
yes, the one that I studied,
the one
I
that
know
you
it
studied
well.
from,
Yes,
which does not exist anymore.
No, phased out.
Phased out. But when we had that, psychologists who'd done their psychology 4-year training at some university would come and do their final 2 years with our graduate diploma, with supervision, with all the requirements that you know well from those final 2 years. But as that's no longer available, our course does not qualify psychologists except to do genuine psychotherapeutic work and training. So people who graduate our courses do get accredited with PACFA, Psychotherapy and Counselling Federation,
PACFA, okay.
Australia, or ACA, Australian Counselling Association, as well as we've recently registered with ATMS, Australian Traditional Medicine Society. So there's a few places they can immediately be accredited.
Right.
When they graduate. But they're not psychologists.
They're not psychologists. It's a 2-year course.
It's 2-year professional training to train you to work in the profession of psychotherapy counseling.
And what does the course structure look like?
We have over those 2 years 8 modules. So it's approximately 4 modules a year. 2 of the modules are spread over the whole 2-year course. One of the very, very, very important modules, Module 3, is all about working with the nervous system. There's so much wonderful information since Stephen Porges developed the polyvagal understanding of the nervous system. There's just so much information available. So there was about a decade where I got really interested in that, and I was studying in a number of different training programs for professionals about the nervous system, working with trauma, which is also stress, working with stress, trauma, working with the nervous system to release trauma, release stress. So Module 3 is all about that.
That must be a very interesting one.
It's wonderful. It was wonderful to learn how to integrate that with process work, because process work is very good as a language to understand what's deeper in the deeper layers inside a person, where they're less conscious, they have less awareness. And often things that are bothering them, they just need to understand themselves more, and it all starts to fall into place.
And so if people are coming to the course, how many other students are in at any given time?
Well, there's 2 cohorts, the first year and the second year. So every year we have a group in the first year, they're doing the first year of study, and we have a group who's doing the second year, who's about to graduate at the end of that year. And we tend to have, it's varying, but let's say about 20 people in each year group. And there's a few things where we invite everybody. So now and then they can all come together. But predominantly you go through the course with your cohort. So we don't have a mid-year intake because you belong to that year group. And that's a huge support throughout the training. Also, our course is focused on practical skills. You did ask about academic things. Every module, you do have to, assessment task 1, you do your readings, short answer questions that you complete. Assessment task 2 is a lot about, can you use this thing on the board here? Can you use some of the concepts of process work to assess a human being's psyche and what's going on consciously, what's happening for them more marginalized, more in the unconscious. Can you use the paperwork? Can you fill things out to assess them? Assessment task 3 is observation. So 5 times in the 2-year training, they come right here to the campus, and we have 3 full days. So 3 full days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 5 different times over the 2 years. And we observe them working. The rest of the classes, it's approximately fortnightly. They have a class on Zoom, which you can come here for if you're local.
Okay.
I love the local students coming.
That'd
love
be
it.
so much fun, and
I
face
just
to
love real
face, and you
people.
can get together.
But that big TV there is all the Zoom people. So every class that's not the residential intensives, we have Zoom access for. So you can be anywhere in the world and join that Zoom class.
That's fantastic. And I imagine everybody becomes very close, gets to know each other.
Yeah, I mean, there's differences. So not everybody completely loves everybody, but the cohort as a whole, they find the people that they can lean on and share with. And it's a super important part of the training. That's what I was going to mention. Every week, every student is assigned to another student. It's a dyad practice, and they practice and exercise together. And it's not made up. They don't pretend to be Mrs. Smith, who's 40 years old or something like this. They're themselves, and they work on a real issue. This one's the therapist, this one's the client, and they do an exercise, and then they switch. So these are very personal interactions.
Yeah, very.
So they get to know each other at quite a deep level.
Very experiential, which I feel is the part that's missing the most from a lot of the university degrees. For example, what I did.
Yes.
You know, in the 4+2, I mean, yes, we have a little bit of on-the-job training, but it never felt enough.
Yeah, I just agree.
You're just in the deep end straight away.
And you're not given counseling skills usually. Most psychology programs are not emphasizing the actual counseling skills. We do academic. I'm starting to tell you about the assessment tasks in assessment task 4, every module. So every module, the summary is the assessment task 4, but once again, different than your training in university. Almost half of it is personal. When you were learning whatever you're doing that module, when you were the client, we asked specific questions about your journey. Were you crossing into having more awareness of your unconscious? And likewise, when you were the therapist, are you learning to use whatever we're studying? And you must give 4 academic references. Now that's very small on a scale of university, what you've been through.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But we are training them to be aware of references, to reference correctly. It's there, but it's very small. It's not our emphasis.
But the skill set of the practical application is amazing. And that's what you really need once you're actually working and in the thick of it. Of course, it's good to be able to research and read, but at the end of the day-to-day work is the work, is the experiential stuff. So if somebody goes through the course with you guys, they are then able to, I guess, give themselves the title of a counsellor, a psychotherapist.
They start as counsellor. Well, they begin as counsellor nowadays, because about a year and a half ago, it's a little complex, but PACFA and ACA have been pressuring the Australian government, hey, we want our counsellors, our psychotherapists to get Medicare over years. So the government
started this. Because they don't currently get it, right?
No, but they will. It's a pathway. But counselling psychotherapy was not government regulated. Not in Australia. It was in England, it was in the United States, but not in Australia.
Really?
So yes,
the only country that it wasn't regulated.
But it is now. As of about a year and a half ago, this big process. So now there's been a big regulation process. Millions of it spent. The government gave so many million to consultants and so many million to PACFA and so many million to ACA, and everybody wrote up very formal style documentation. And through a big sorting out process, the first version was not good. There's now rules about the standards of counselling. Fortunately, the final version that came out, the lowest level you can accredit at is if you do a diploma of counselling. We do own a diploma of counselling, and some years we teach it, but that's at a level 5 ASQA or skills level in the ASQA system.
Okay.
ASQA, Australian Qualification Standards, AQS level 5. No, it's framework, Australian Qualification Framework, AQF. Level
so
5
many
diploma.
different avenues.
There's so many bureaucratic bodies we have to work with.
Yes, bureaucratic bodies.
There's a
I was
lot.
thinking, what are they called? Yeah.
So that's the lowest level the Australian government will allow people to become accredited at. Then the next level, it's equal whether you do a bachelor's training, a graduate diploma, which we offer, or a master's. So our training is as good as a master's training with the new system, which is wonderful.
It's incredible.
More practical. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So then if you do our training, you can be accredited at that level. For the highest level, you have to be doing so many years of seeing lots of clients, lots of supervision. It's a practical level. So this is really good that the Australian government got on board with. It's a practical industry. You have to have practical skills. It's not academic.
Absolutely. So how long has the university been working?
The institute,
the
Psychology Institute. We first had our first kind of registration thing in 2008, I think.
2009 8 years ago.
So a bit under 20 years.
Wow.
Because it'll be 2028.
Oh, 2008. I was thinking 2018.
No. So almost 20 years, not quite 20 years.
Almost 20 years.
Yeah, it's been a long process.
And are there any other, I mean, I've never heard any other institutes on a similar level doing a similar thing.
There is another one, but they've been bought out, so the people who own and run it are not so aware. And in other countries, there's a few, but there's not many institutes teaching process work. The reason is this style of therapy is deeply, you need more skills than for just standard mainstream counseling. Because you have to pay attention to more. How is this person perceiving? How does their internal perception system work? It asks more of you. Whereas many counseling psychotherapeutic methods and often psychology, it's just cognitive. You're just thinking and asking this person to think. The trouble with thinking through things, it can be helpful. But if you can think through things, often the person's already thought it through and worked it out before they come to you. Clients that end up coming and paying money to a professional, they're often coming because they can't think it through. They have to access more fully, deeper. Yes, they're stuck with thinking. Thinking is not the solution, which is, I'm saying something opposite really from CBT. CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, emphasizes the cognitive part and then you behave in a different way.
Which in my training is like...
That's all there is.
The be all and end all.
That's right.
Then there's acceptance and commitment therapy, but CBT is
which
like
has
the gold standard.
Yeah. Whereas I can use cognitive methods for sure. I can use behavioral methods, and I do when they're appropriate, when the person needs them. But I have way more tools. I can open up the movement if the person's movement oriented. We can work with dreams. We enact dreams, or we can work with body symptoms. If you had some physical body thing, we'd work with the energy that's stored in that body symptom, that if you live that energy more. For example, shall I tell you a story about when Arnie first developed the dream body concept?
I'd love to, yeah. Tell me a story.
So Arnie had been studying in Zurich. When I described to you, he went to Zurich to work, but then he got interested in Jungian psychotherapy. So he studied to be a Jungian analyst in Zurich over some years. And they work a lot with dreams. They also do sand play, but it's kind of visual, the dreams, the sand play. Then Arnie was working with people in hospitals, often people that had fatal illnesses. The doctors said, well, sure, go ahead and work with them. They're about to die, so what harm can you do? And then there's a lovely story he tells in one of the books about some guy had a stomach issue, and Arnie's very creative. He's deeply scientific in the sense of, well, let's explore. Well, let's find out.
Investigate.
Investigative. He's deeply investigative and noticing subtle things. So I'd say he's been born with that. So with this man, he said, well, what does it feel like? And the man sort of explored the feeling in his stomach. And I believe it was cancer, but it was a feeling of fullness, and it had wanted to come out, and something wanted to come out. So following the feeling of the body symptom, something wanted to come out and said, I want to live. And then Arnie had been working with the man with his dreams, because he was a Jungian analyst, and his dreams had this shouting, this wanting to be bigger part. So it went together. That's how Arnie coined the phrase, the dream body. As he started to become aware, every one of us, we live, I think of it almost like the aura or something. You know how the aura is like an electromagnetic field that is always present with us.
Yeah.
So the dream body, yes, our dreams express things about it. Our body, our symptoms express, it's the one dream body that can be expressed in the dream, in the body. Our relationship issues, you can enter through any kind of difficulty or not even difficulty, but to kind of get to know, what lives in my deeper layers or my blueprint that I was born with.
So what happened eventually with this
The guy
person?
left hospital. He got better.
He got better?
He got better.
Oh my God.
Because he started to realize the deeper level of what he needed to do. And it often happens with process work.
Like, were the doctors like, how did this happen?
Yeah, I'm sure. They were amazed. When in the early years when I was training in the 90s, 1990s is when I started training process work, and I would fly to Oregon, which was a central place for process work, because Arnie Mindell lived in Oregon, he lived in Portland, and then they had these workshops out on the coast, in Yachats and along the Oregon coast. And they would have workshops called Lava Rock. Well, there is lava rocks in that area, so it was named for the area. But Lava Rock, people with terrible illnesses, sometimes fatal illnesses, would come to these seminars, and those of us that loved process work would come. So there might be several hundred people at a seminar with Arnie Mindell, Mark Schupak. He was the one that helped, he's one of Arnie's students, but one of his more advanced, he'd been a student since the beginning.
Yeah.
And they would run these seminars using process work, and you just see remarkable things happen, and people that had AIDS, or AIDS was big during that time, and cancer, all kinds of extreme illnesses that people would come to say, will this help me? But of course it doesn't help or solve everybody. Nobody's saying that. But the energies we're not living, the energies we're not integrating, but that belong to us, if we don't live them, yes, they end up
stored,
stifling us.
Yeah. And keeping you, I guess I go back to the word stuck, but I think
stuck, frozen.
Yeah. And I think that's what we help our clients do, is to get unstuck.
That's beautiful.
But it's so interesting how you talk about the process work and how it's so integrative. And the CBT, which is, again, essentially my training, is all that cognitive work.
More up here in the neocortex.
It's just up there, which can be helpful for sure.
But be good skills when you need those skills.
Yeah, but it is missing a lot for a lot of people. And one thing I wanted to ask you about is that you have Indigenous people come into your institute, and you give them
these are scholarships. We don't charge the Indigenous students. That came about because I have quite a sensitive system. I feel things, I pick up things, which many people do. Many of our students are very sensitive. They're drawn to this kind of work. And I don't sound like it. I probably sound American, but I was born in Australia. I was born in Armidale.
Were you? No, you do sound American, yeah.
My mother's American. So although I was born in Australia, when I was 5, we went back to Ohio, lived in the country there. Then when I was at 12, we went to Switzerland and back to Canberra. So I had my teen years in Canberra and ACT. And then I went back to America when I was 18. So my
that's a lot of moving around, isn't
traveling,
it? Yeah.
But I am Australian first and foremost, and then also a bit American. Where was I headed? I was going to tell you something.
The Indigenous scholarships.
Yeah, so I've been in different places around Australia, and particularly, I guess, after I was learning process work, a lot of these experiences happened. And I remember a beach, and my back was up against a rock, and feeling some terrible thing that had happened there. Now, nobody has to believe that, but that was my experience, that I felt like a terrible, wrong thing had happened right there in front of this rock. And then once I was, after fair, a market thing had happened on a school oval. They were cleaning up, and once again it happened, and it happened a few times, this sense of something terrible that had been done. As we know, the white, if I may say, invaders, my relatives, were white Celtic people, and also some of my relatives were convicts on the ships.
So were mine, I think.
Yeah?
I think so, yeah.
I have 4 convict ancestors that actually lived out in Richmond area.
Oh, wow.
And met each other. And my grandmother was largely descended from these convict ancestors. But so I experienced these places where I'm certain that Aboriginal people were massacred, hurt, very badly injured.
So tell me about that. You were there, and
different places,
you just
and I felt it.
Like you felt it.
I felt it from the place, and I found myself making a promise at that time to what I think of as the spirits of the Indigenous people, and making a promise that I would do whatever I could to help. So then many years later, when we started the school, it just seemed, I live on this beautiful property. I think you saw it before the sunset.
It's gorgeous.
Isn't it lovely?
The bush. Oh my God.
So I'm very privileged to have access to that, and it just seemed like the least I can do is to open up our trainings to Indigenous students. So every year we take several Indigenous students into each cohort.
That's amazing. And one thing that I would love to sort of ask is, what do you feel like they bring to the course?
Oh, it's awesome.
Because I've had my fair share of experiences with Indigenous people, and I feel like a lot of them are tapped into so many different ways of thinking and feeling that we just are never talking about, or we never experience.
That's fair. Well, they've taught me a lot. I'm grateful for having become way more educated about the history, about what actually happened in Australia. Oh, it's huge. Many of our Aboriginal graduates say, this is our way, this process work that you're teaching, this is our way, but Arnie Mindell's given it words.
Wow. Because
it's dealing with the deeper layers, things you sense. Yes, the cognitive is important, but it's just a small part of what's important. And opening up to the deeper levels in a human, in a situation, in a group. You can work with big groups with the process style. It's called Deep Democracy.
Deep Democracy.
There's a Deep Democracy Institute. One of my trainers brought together, Mark Schupak. He founded the Deep Democracy Institute, and they do trainings and do a lot of work with big groups. But the Indigenous students have usually a natural affinity for sensing these deeper layers. So it's very natural to them.
You're like more in touch.
Yeah, they
naturally.
Often, as a group, they've often had gaps in their literacy. The schools they went to were not well funded, or because of intergenerational trauma, which is huge. Intergenerational trauma is just a real thing, and it's throughout, of course, naturally, the Indigenous population, as it is throughout the Indigenous populations in all places, the American Indians, the United States, everywhere where Indigenous people have been massacred and mistreated. That trauma goes through the generations, but it means they've often missed schooling and academic type skills. So we have other ways to support them if there's difficulties with that side of it, because the guts of it, the practical skills, they're not, they can learn as readily or maybe more readily than other populations.
That's so fantastic that you guys do that.
Very proud we're doing that. I'm very glad. It's very right.
And how do they find out about your institute?
It's actually difficult. It's difficult to find the right pathway, because I'm not Indigenous. I'm very Celtic in my origins. So it's been an ongoing dilemma how to get the word out to the right people. It sort of leaks out, and then the students that have done the course, they tell people. So, this year we're really happy to have a group of 4. So it's quite a strong year of Indigenous students, and they happen to all know each other.
Oh, that's
so one
fantastic.
of them spread the word to the others.
Are they in Sydney, New South Wales?
Raymond Terrace, not so far from Sydney.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's very
I love
good.
that. Well, it sounds like a fantastic course. Do you have maybe one or two little techniques of process work that you would be wanting to share, just to give like an example?
A lovely thing I could share with you is not, it's process work, but it's a very gentle method, and it's almost an assessment tool that helps the therapist know how to work with the person. We especially use it around trauma and stress. Would you be happy for me to take you through an exercise?
Sure. Let's do it.
Okay, that'd be fun. So, well, fun is an interesting word because I'm now going to ask you a question that won't sound fun, but you don't need to tell the details of anything. You don't need to tell the story to me at all. But if you think of something in your life, we've all had something very stressful or maybe traumatic that's happened to us. Can you think of any event, a situation in your life where you felt you were really badly mistreated? You might think of it as being traumatized or profoundly stressed in some way. And you don't have to tell me the story, just think of that situation.
Okay, let me think of one. Is it better if it's further away or closer?
You kind of get to choose. Either is great. You just think. You won't, because you're not going to tell the story, but I'm just going to take you through a little process that to show you how we assess things, almost on the surface of it. You'll go deep because you know stuff, but we're going to go more on the surface. You got something?
Okay, yes, I've got something.
Okay, so think about that something. Is there a tag word I can use to refer to that something that we know that it's that something?
Tag word.
The what something? The
tag word.
The color.
Gold.
The gold something.
Yeah.
And that refers to it. Okay, the gold something. So think about the gold something, and in the gold something there was a you in the experience, and you can mention the age if you want to. You wouldn't have to.
20.
You were 20.
Yeah.
So we've got a 20-year-old you. And was there somebody that you would consider in an abusive direction? Something like an abuser or a mistreater? And I can adapt the word to make it feel better. But someone who was not at all what you would want to have had.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like an abuser, a mistreater, there's different words.
I like the mistreater word.
A mistreater.
Yeah.
There was a mistreater person.
Yeah.
So there's a 20-year-old you. So first think about the 20-year-old you. Think about what you were like. You feel free to close your eyes and just go inward for a minute. And just think about the 20-year-old you and sort of the qualities, what you were like before this mistreater joins the scene. If they were not there, before they arrived. And then we're going to pick a symbol for the 20-year-old you, kind of pre-mistreater. Pick a symbol for the 20-year-old you, and then we'll pick a symbol for the mistreater.
Okay.
So over here I've got a bunch of symbols.
Yeah, grab.
Which is fortunate. So come on over and pick a symbol for the 20-year-old you, and then I might move this just a little bit. A symbol for the mistreater when the mistreater arrives.
Oh, I love these.
Yeah, when I work with clients in my unit, I always have symbols. They're very helpful.
Gravitated towards these.
Beautiful. See how quickly and easily that goes?
Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it? How quickly you find it.
I visually had a black,
Great. Great. Now here's a table. So there's the 20-year-old you. There's the mistreater. Now, this next step, I need you to let the preschooler in you, the creative, relaxed. We're not going to be particularly cognitive, but we are going to use your imagination. You can look at it, think about it, feel about it, and think about, feel about, sense what kind of help, what kind of helper do you wish you could have had? You can go magic, you can go unicorns, mermaids,
sort of got like
angels.
A vision of an angelic.
Beautiful.
Like
an angelic being.
Yeah, it was beaming with white light.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's perfect. So now we need to find a symbol. We can't always have you draw it if we don't have a symbol that seems right for you. But see if there's any symbol over here that is kind of that angelic being in the white light.
Oh, this one.
Does that work for you?
Absolutely perfect.
And she's got the sparkles, so she does have extra light.
No, that was
and she's kind of got her hands on the heart. That's nice.
Yeah.
Now, before you put it down, think about where would you like to place it? Just think about the placement. What feels good? How do you want? Is that where you want it? Does that feel good?
Like above.
So your hand moves like as if she provides a whole, almost an aura of light.
Yeah.
So it's almost, if you were to draw it, you could have the light kind of comes all the way around, it looks like. Beautiful. So this already, if we did a little timeout pause there, this tells the therapist a whole lot, that the quality of energy that you choose for your helper, that's the quality of energy the therapist have to bring. So, because that's what you need, right? That's the helper.
Yeah.
And any traumatic, stressful thing that a person mentions, even though you've probably come a long way in your relation to the situation, the fact that you can think about it, it never hurts to help you heal a bit more. But this helper, it's kind of an assessment tool, although it's a symbolic assessment tool, is telling us, the therapist, need to bring this kind of heartful light energy in relation to this issue. And over time, my job is to coach you to more and more be this light angel.
And to sort of hold on to that helper energy.
And almost to become it. Almost to become it. Almost one day beyond the holding on to it. Holding on to it, yes. But eventually to recognize this is part of you, that you can be the light emanator, where you no longer have to hold on to it. You're emanating light for a part of you that's maybe younger. And you know how all the ages are kind of inside us?
Yeah.
And no matter how old you get, you can sometimes feel like any previous age. So this is still inside you in some way. And
yeah, I was very surprised of how quickly I could tap into 20-year-old self.
Isn't that amazing?
A while ago now.
Yeah. It's kind of cool, this symbol work. And it's always amazing to people how quickly they find just
immediately was able to find something. I wonder if some people, when you ask them, have a look at these like ornaments and figurines, if it's quickly for them, or sometimes they can't. There's like
many people, it's surprisingly
easy,
quick for many people.
Yeah.
A complication that can happen, which is not here, it doesn't appear to be here at all. If a child was badly abused, maybe as a baby, very, very early, then a person, and I've encountered this multiple times in my private practice as a psychologist, process-oriented psychotherapist, they will build into the symbol like maybe a protective shell, because the trauma was so early, they don't have an experience of themselves before they had to protect against something.
Oh, wow.
So then you have to work very slowly and carefully to work out, the helper, the protective shell, they already built in. Let's say I picked for myself a solid shell protective thing. And then you have to realize over time, because the trauma happened very early, the helper is this shell.
That's interesting.
That's a complicated thing that you just get to realize that and can work that out. But it's possible there isn't the right symbol, but then we've always got pastels and you could draw whatever
you could create
need.
Something.
But I'm mostly surprised because it's not an infinite collection.
No. But you've got a lot of variety there.
There's
and for anyone just listening and can't see it, it's just like figurines and bits of jewelry and teddies and animals and
soft, hard, light, dark.
You've got a bit of everything.
Nice, not nice.
Yeah, I love that, and it's so good to use. I think visual things help us tell our stories,
especially someone in the visual channel.
Yeah, I would say, you know how your movement, I would say I'm quite visual.
Yeah, which is more common statistically, because all our learning
70% I heard.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I saw something like that, yeah.
And we use visual skills a lot for everybody because we all have all the senses. We have them all. So, for example, with this, we might end up having you do a drawing. And for some people, it might be all about, like when I say, where do you want to place it? You might realize you want to push I don't want to touch your symbols, but you might realize you want to place the mistreater further back and place the angel in front. Like, people learn a lot just with the placement and the...
I find that this is so perfect for trauma work, and like we were talking about before, that it's actually quite traumatizing to retell your traumatic story more often than not, I find. And you were able to give me something tangible, experiential, and we could work with something, and you have no idea what my trauma was.
No, and I don't need to.
I never had to talk about it.
I don't need to, and you don't need to.
I think is just, oh my God, it's just the most amazing thing, and the most amazing thing that we can do therapeutically, because there are so many people that are afraid of going to therapy because they think, I don't want to talk about my story.
Yeah, absolutely true.
They go, I don't want to talk about that. That was horrible. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. Why would you want to? It's scary. True. It's horrible. It's traumatic. But
and you don't
here is
need
a way
to find the path forward. There are some people who might need to talk about this. And that's why I want to be really broad about it.
Of course.
But yes, so many people don't want to be dragged through it. And as you know, there are psychologists, counselors who might think that that's the most helpful thing. Occasionally it is.
Absolutely.
But a lot of cases, as you say, it's not the talking about it. It's just finding what's useful, what's going to help me go forward. And what's going to help my nervous system pendulate or move from the fight and flight.
And be healing.
Yes.
Whereas, I think, I do think some psychologists can get trapped in, well, let's just talk about what happened. And not always helpful.
And maybe very unhelpful. I just agree with you completely.
Yeah. So that's a great technique. What do you call that technique again?
We call it the 3-symbol exercise, and it's very broad where you can use it.
Yeah.
I learned it from one of my post-work trainers specifically about trauma and stress, but it's this lovely little assessment of, okay, that's you, that's the problem energy, what helper do you feel you need? It kind of tells the therapist, this is what this person needs more of. And we would ask you about it more if you were an actual client, and what's the light like, and we'd go into it and get you to think about it, get you to feel it. We might get up and move it. You might get up and be this angelic with the angel and really feel it in your body. And maybe I could be the young 20-year-old and I could say, I'm just scared, and the person who's represented by the black crystal is just nasty. And you would get to be the part of your psyche in the role play that somehow just shines light on me. And it's amazing to sort of stand in that energy of you were thinking of yourself as the 20-year-old, and that has some presence still, but to increasingly pick up, what's it like? Say, like, can you for a moment imagine that I'm the 20-year-old? May I touch your symbol? May I
absolutely.
Now you take that one for a minute and just feel it. You don't have to tell anybody, but just feel what it's like to be that radiating angel. And I was in a really tough spot, but you just feel what it's like to radiate light. Isn't that odd how it can shift everything?
It's amazing. Tap into it straight away, especially that there's like a visual in front of me. You can really tap into it.
For you.
Yeah.
But then it helps you get into your body, which is more interoceptive.
Yes.
So you've got quite a skill there that you quite easily move between the channels. That's good.
And I imagine that over time, or if somebody comes through, they have a couple of sessions, and then maybe later down the track you could revisit and see if there are any changes, see if anything's popped up, or see if she's grown, maybe she's grown bigger, she's got bigger wings.
Yeah, and often I have the thought towards the end of a task, end of a session, of a homework task.
Yeah.
So, we haven't really got into the issue, but let's pretend that it made sense and I was working with you, that I might think about, well, how could you start practicing and developing that? So I would ask you towards the end of the session, before you go out, what very small incremental task would you like to do? Is it a thought? Is it an imagination thing? Is it a visual thing? To grow identifying with this more than this, to shift into letting yourself identify as the light bringer. And then there might be something you come up with. You say, oh, well, I could imagine it several times a day, that I'm the light bringer and see myself there in front of me or something. And okay, we'll say, okay, that's your challenge. Then the next session, we check in, how did that go? And if you didn't do it, I say, okay, we didn't get the nail on the head. We didn't get the right thing.
Yeah,
but
that's okay. Try again with something else.
Yeah.
So that's a great example of process work.
Yeah.
It did remind me a little bit about some schema work that I have done and that I have trained in. So some similarities there. Definitely.
Process work looks like many different things.
Yeah.
Do you know internal family systems work of Richard Schwartz?
I do know about it. I haven't done it.
So they do a lot of role plays between parts. We do a lot of role plays between parts, like I was describing, but let's just stand up just for a minute. Just to show like a role play. So, well, it just depends. But let's say you needed to speak up to, can I move this back?
Yeah, move back.
Let's say this parts of you needed to speak up to people like that and tell them to back off or something. Then, and let's imagine that you were ready to do it. And let's imagine that you'd already said to me something like, yeah, I just need to tell someone in my life, no, I don't have time for that. I'm so sorry, I can't help you with that. So then I might first say, okay, so is it like this? No, I don't have time for that. No, I'm so sorry, I can't do it. Sorry, goodbye. And I close the door.
Yeah.
Then I might pretend to be that person. You've told me some story. I pretend to be a difficult person wanting your time and energy. And you practice. This is a role play.
And I might say something like, no, don't have time for you. I think you need to be out of my life.
Yes.
You know,
and that's
something
a role
like
play.
that.
Well done.
Yeah.
So we use a lot of role play. And people say, oh, that's like internal family systems. Yes.
Yes.
But our overriding paradigm is, I would say, a little more flexible than internal family systems, just in that we follow each individual client's deeper patterns. So that's what we're following.
It reminds me of this saying, you need to feel it to heal it.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And it's exactly what you're doing with this process work. So I'm actually surprised I haven't heard as much about it as I would have thought.
It's
6 years into my career as a psychologist.
And in psychology in the universities, they so emphasize CBT. The funding all goes to CBT. Funding doesn't go to these deepening your awareness practices. We're an awareness practice. Very, very powerful, helping people's awareness grow, but not easy to quantify. And all of the funding money goes to things that are easy to quantify. We're less interested in quantifying, and we're more interested in, can we help the client's awareness open to the point that they get the wisdom inside them, that they get to grow? But that's not what is most popular in universities.
It's hard to just tick a box and, go, yes, this is that module and this is that. But I mean, it sounds like you have been able to put your process work into really great modules. You're accredited. So how do people get in touch if they are interested in doing a course?
Info at pathwaypsychology.com.au is our email. The website, www.pathwaypsychology.com.au. I can give you maybe some of this information. I don't know if you can put them up at the end or something.
Yeah, I will put it up, but that sounds great.
Yeah, we love to hear from people. And it's always important to us that potential applicants are looking for what we've got.
Yeah.
So we have a little bit of an interview chat on the phone just to make sure that students are looking for this deeper, more learning how to live in the deeper wisdom inside ourselves and then pass that on to our clients.
It's got to be the right fit for both sides.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for talking to me. You can see I'm very passionate about it.
I love it.